Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. I am going to let you guys know that the distractions, the distractiveness is on. And guess what? We're not going to allow it. So in the case of my brother Rudden, no, we're not going to be just taking up with Trump must, Trump must, Trump must. That's the distraction. Anyway, welcome aboard our great folks that are on early. We've got AVQ numero uno in the list from Brooklyn, New York. Numero dos in the list is Yvette Avery Herod from Atlanta, Georgia. Patrick is numero tres. Meow is what he says. We have Michael Rudden has a long thing for me to read, so let me hold on to that. Lee the Bear Cat is in the house from Austin, Texas. Harry Denson says, buenas tardes, señor activista, el profesor Egberto Willies. Harry Dennon in Missouri City, Texas is with us as well. He said, done right, Hacienda. Looking forward to the afternoon show, and we are going to give you a good afternoon show, folks. Absolutely so. Patrick Magnus says that Michael Ronan, I often try to explain to people that soon the changing climate will either starve you or cook you. I think you're absolutely right on both accounts. It'll starve you, and as you're starving, you will be cooked. You know, I agree. All right, we have Jacqueline Campisi, la profesora, and let's call it the right way. In Panama, we would call her la licenciada Jacqueline Campisi. Actually, it would be spelled la licenciada Jacqueline Campise, right? We revere teachers back in Panama. I mean, revere teachers back in Panama. When you go to the grocery store, you stand at attention when you see your professor or your teacher in that grocery store or wherever you see them. Adam W. is in the house. He says, hi, Egberto. Adam from Pennsylvania. Adam W. from Pennsylvania. Adam, we got to choose somebody for the breakfast. I mean, the coffee with Egberto that you took care of. You and I, you can look inside of our chats and watch what people are talking about, and you can also interface with them, brother Adam W, and see somebody in the vicinity who you would like me to take care of. Thank you so kindly, my brother. That was from the KPFT show, not from this show, but still, you can do it from any show. All right, let's continue here. Michael, we have some more in the house. We have Anthony Lefranco from Laguna Beach, California. Anthony Lofranco from Laguna Beach, California is in the house. We also have, I saw somebody else come in as well. Eric Hayes from Atascocita, Kingwood in the house. Man, we got all kind of folks already in. And on the Substack chat additions, we have Dale. We got Peter Sukowski. Let me try to say these names right. Peter Sukowski, welcome aboard. I hope you enjoy the program. Lee Grant from Montgomery County is in the house. Welcome aboard, Lee Grant. We're glad to see you here. All right, let's see. Michael says, Egberto, I know you're probably going to be busy with the whole Trump must thing. Brother, love you. You're wrong. We're going to talk a lot about this stuff. Earth's energy imbalance is growing at terrifying rates. Scientists are sounding the alarm. Earth's energy imbalance is skyrocketing faster than expected, and scientists fear losing the key tools to understand why. Over the past 2 decades, Earth's energy imbalance has more than doubled, with 2023 marking a critical point where the imbalance reached 1.8 watts. What? I thought it was 1.8 degree. Oh, 1.8 watts per square meter, twice the increase predicted by earlier climate models. The main driver of these imbalances is the accumulation of greenhouse gases, which trap energy within the Earth's atmosphere, preventing it from radiating back into space. Also, I don't know if this is if this take well if this is an expert article, so I imagine they know that. But the ocean also acts as a humongous heat sink, and because of water at before water changes state, it absorbs a lot of heat. So nobody sees a temperature change while it's going through a transition change. That's an interesting property of water, right? It can absorb a lot of heat without changing temperature. This A lot of people equate heat and temperature. That's another story. The imbalance indicate more heat is trapped within the climate system, contributing directly to global warming and severe climate consequences. The satellite data that have been tracking Earth's energy imbalance are a key resource in understanding the ongoing climate crisis. These high resolution satellite readings offer a timely snapshot of the imbalance, providing valuable data that is crucial for informed climate predictions. However, these satellites are approaching the end of their operational lifespans. Oh, with replacements due only in 2027 under NASA's LIBOR A mission. If this imbalance remains high, it means that the thresholds for stabilizing global temperatures at 2 degrees Celsius becomes increasingly difficult to reach. I keep warning that we're currently in the last handful of years before global warming accelerates out of humanity's hands. And we're being led by a climate denier who doesn't care about humanity's future, let alone to figure out which locales the excess atmospheric carbon is coming from. It might be game over already. It is sad. When you have smart folk that understand what's going on, and then you have a dummy with charisma that is able to snow a whole lot of people, including, look, Michael, I am an engineer. Bruce is a physicist. I'm a chemist. And we have Norman is an engineer. We have a lot of folks in here. And I'm going to tell you, there is one particular engineer in here at times that went through thermodynamics, went through kinematics, went through all these courses, and is a Trumpster. There is something more profound that we don't understand about the mental psyche of people. When, and it's something that we got to study. Something that we got to study. Peter Sukowski said, very good, thank you. Wisconsin. Peter Sukowski is from Wisconsin. Great. I love Madison, Wisconsin. I went to the Democracy Convention where we had a big democracy convention over there. Madison is a beautiful city with nice, beautiful cafes. Love it out there. And I actually went, I think, in the middle of the summer, and it was pretty cool. The temperature, leaving Houston and ending up over there was same thing that happened with us when we went to Minneapolis. Great places, man. Great places. All right, Gail Pope, Linda Goes, Bethesda, Tammy. Great town. Love it. I hear you. I hear you, Peter. I hear you. All right, let's see what else we got here. I think I saluted Otto Franco from Long Beach, California. Let me inculcate that in my mind. Long Beach, California. Laguna Beach, California. We also have Eric Hayes. I called you out already. Lisa Blair from Atlanta, Georgia. And Lisa, it's your birthday. I gave you a short birthday one this morning, but I'll do it again. Happy birthday to Lisa. Happy birthday, Lisa Blair. Happy birthday, one of our wonderful people. Happy birthday, Lisa. All right. Lisa, it's your day. I hope that you had a great time. I hope that if you have a significant other, whether male, female, daughter, whatever, that they give you a very good time, my dear. All right. Peter Sikowski says happy birthday as well. So you see, we're all giving you that virtual hug. We're all giving you that virtual hug. Lita Bearcat from Austin, Texas is in the house. Let's see what else have we got. You see, read your notices, Lisa. Everybody's saluting your birthday. Everybody's saluting your birthday. All right, all right, all right, all right. I have, let me tell you guys, the absolute best audience, bar none. While I do this, there are times that I jump onto other chats, I jump onto other lives, etc., and I watch the comments, etc. And all I can say, folks, is I've used so much material from all of you, and I've had many of you on. Yvette Avery Herod have been on my program, interviewed 2 or 3 times because she's our hero out there with UPS. We have Michael Rudnin, who is our researcher extraordinaire, as well as our friend that hasn't been around, but I keep in touch with her all of the time. That is, boy, when the brain freeze happens, right? Bridge MCP. We have Harry Denson, who always keeps me in line. We have Lee Grant, supporter of the program, MAGA guy, but he's a good person. We have Eric Hayes. Eric Hayes is always here. He actually got himself a coffee with Egberto. I still have to call out Eric for the bad things that he says, and I tell him that in person as well. So when you hear me knock him in the chat, that's the same way I deal with Eric on the outside. We are one of the things I think that we have to get together here is be able to confront folks civilly, differ with them. And again, look, I called some of the folks in the chat racist the other day. Somebody in the back end tell me, Egberto, do you think you really should have done that? And I said, yes. I said, what made me change from being a sexist and a homophobe was when there were some women in Move to Amend bold enough to call me out to my face. And this one had to do with the sexism, not the homophobia. The homophobia was another guy. The homophobia was on my trip to China. I think I wrote about that in my book. But yeah, and we do have some of those in the chat, and I call them out. And if I saw them in person, I'll call them out. I'll give them a hug, and I'll call them out again. And I will try to reform their minds. So yeah, so we have the best audience, bar none, in my humble opinion. All right, let's see what else have we got here before I get started. Let's see what I get before I get started. Oh, like I was telling you about callers. So today, one of our regulars, there's a caller I have in the morning. His name is Brian. And I don't know, I'll be honest with you, I don't quite understand Brian. I think Brian, uh, he just loves the show. He's there every day, but he always wants to antagonize me, right? And I wonder about him sometimes. I don't think he's a troll. There's who are trolls and who are just kind of an antagonist. And I think he's an antagonist. But he said something that raised the ire of one of our callers. And in the process of raising the ire of one of our callers, what he did is, she called in and she gave a great narrative about keeping her eye on the ball, and not only keeping her eye on the ball, but challenging folks like Brian, who always has negative things to say about Biden or about whatever we are doing, etc. And she challenged him. What I want you to do is to go ahead and listen. Let's see. Lisa Blair says not all the afternoon people were on this morning. Had to let them know as well. Exactly, exactly. So what I want to do is I want to play this interaction we had with Uju. I love Uju. In fact, what I'm going to see if Uju would allow us to do an actual video interview with her to bring her to you all, because she always has very smart things to say. So I'm going to try that. So here we go. After a mega caller called into our morning KPFT show, we had a very intelligent caller, Uju, called in and made a point to let it be known that too many of MAGAs are so preoccupied with things that have nothing to do with their well being. So she asked the question, okay, you complain about these issues. What do you plan on doing? But most importantly, what this caller did is she pointed out that while we are hyperventilating about Medicaid and Medicare and SNAP and all these other programs that are going to be cut, there are many other aspects of this bill that are disastrous. I want you to listen to this caller, and then we'll take it on the other side. Let's go to Uju. Uju inspired the topic today. Uju, how you doing this morning?
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you very well.
All right, happy Friday, everyone. It is National Donut Day, so definitely get your donuts and contribute to the show. Of course, really quickly, I just wanted to highlight a few things. One, we should, in this day and age of information, everyone is able to actually go online on the actual congressional site to see how horrendous this big bad bill is. And some people I know we're all focusing on Medicare and Medicaid, which we absolutely should, but people who are small business owners should also focus, because there is a stipulation in there that essentially guts the ability for small business owners who are S corporations and LLCs. You're actually going to be penalized. Those pass-through entities that you were afforded are going to be stripped away. So that's something that anyone who's a small business owner should definitely look into that. They're also trying to make it so that states are not able to regulate AI. And let's face facts, AI is here. It's already here. But we have to be very smart about AI, like we were not smart about social media, these social media companies. So the ability for it to say that states are not able to regulate this is very dangerous. So that's also important. I also want everyone to remember we should not lose sight of due process. The Gestapos on the streets of our communities. You might say, oh, it's sad. I'm looking online and I see all these crazy things happening. It is coming to every single community and every single neighborhood. So we have to be very, 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 very diligent to make sure that we do not lose that due process, because that's literally the difference between America and any other country out there that has no due process. So due process is that bill, very, very important. This drama unfolding between the guy from South Africa, the true illegal alien from South Africa, and the orange baby. Yes, it's great. It's like a soap opera. I don't know if anyone remembers watching soap opera. You wondered why there was never any ending to it. It's never going to be ending, and it is a distraction. So I want everyone to just focus. I'm not saying that you shouldn't get your popcorn and watch the soap opera unfold. And I'm also saying you should also realize that while you're watching the soap opera, they're literally trying to transform this beautiful country of ours into a techno-fascist, technocratic, whatever Christian nationalist country. And if anybody thinks that nothing that they're doing does not affect you, I don't even know what else to say. And then my last thing, Alberto, next time Bruce calls, I would like you to ask him, or maybe you've already asked him this. I would like to know what suggestions, what, if anything, Bruce has ever suggested as far as helping to make this country better. He talks about Hunter Biden, he talks about Biden. It's almost like he just spewing out all the hate on that he gets from Fox News or whatever crazy, not necessarily crazy, that's the bad word. I don't want to say he's crazy, but whatever talking points he gets. I have yet to hear him talk about how, if he was in charge, what kind of change and what kind of actual policy would he actually implement that will be humane? Because at the end of the day, illegal alien, let's call a spade. Most Americans, their ancestors came here and literally were illegal aliens. So my question to you is, okay, Bruce,
it's Brian. Brian.
I'm sorry, Brian. Sorry, but it was Bruce before, right? Brian, what actual policy would you actually implement that will be humane and actually better the life of your community. Because always ready to tell you, oh, people are getting killed, this person got killed, this anti-Semitic. Okay, Bruce, if you were in charge and you ruled the world or you ruled America, Brian, what would you do? What actual thing would you do to make actual change? And I don't really think he really ponders that. I really just think he's okay just having hate and anger. And I'm kind of sad for him, really, because you should never lose your humanity. You should never look at anyone as being inhumane, because when you do, you become the monster that we read about as kids, that we see about in movies. So it's just really sad. So next time, maybe we should just ask him, Brian, if you were in charge, how would you fix this immigration issue that we have had in this country since Lord knows how long, right? Because at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure that he has not really sat down and thought about how he will fix it. But he's okay dehumanizing people. He's okay being distracted. Again, the Bidens are not in office right now. Brian, your gas prices are still going high. Your grocery prices are still going high. So I just would like to know what you would do to be the change you want to see. So that's all I have to say. Everyone have a great weekend, and I'll listen on the other side.
Thank you so kindly, Uju. Uju nailed it. Uju nailed it. I tell you something that I did last night. I went ahead and I downloaded the bill from the website. This big beautiful bill. And this wasn't my idea. I saw it on TikTok, and I just wanted to verify that what they said on TikTok was actually true. So I passed the bill through ChatGPT. And when you pass that bill through ChatGPT, what you find out is that the bill is really terrible. And it's not only, and the good thing about what ChatGPT did is that it interpreted the whole bill for you. And again, it's a 1,100 page bill or so. And what it did is interpreted the bill very well for you. And I just want to read a couple of things that ChatGPT had to say about this bill. It actually said that let me pull it up here. Focus on the bill. That's a wrong piece that I got. Maybe one big beautiful bill. There we go. It actually said in the takeaway. It says the one big beautiful bill. Let me put that up on the screen so that you guys can actually see it. It said, put it over here. The ChatGPT said, the one big beautiful bill bundles hundreds of disparate measures into a single reconciliation package that aggressively redistributes wealth upward, hollows out social protections, and kneecaps climate action, all while sprinkling in election year talking points about freedom and accountability. And I have the other breaks down there, but I mean, that is a synopsis of the bill. It's a terrible bill. It's a terrible bill for everybody, including MAGA. It hurts them because they aren't rich people. So what Uju had to say is so damn important. We are concentrating just on the SNAP portion, etc., but there is so much more to this bill that harms, and it is incumbent on us right now to put a stop to it yesterday.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it.
And that is absolutely the case, folks. That is absolutely the case. Anyhow, let's fact check here. According to a few of our MAGA in the chat, grocery prices are down. Fact check. Trump falsely claims grocery prices are down. And if you take a look at it, this is from April 17th. There isn't any real new data on entire groceries that has been done completely, because since Doge came into existence, the people that they have, guess what? Yep, fired the people that go into the stores to check prices, to actually calculate inflation. So we no longer. This is when you listen to this, it's so sad. There is no longer an effective way for us to have the people from the agencies come and say inflation is up or inflation is down, because there's nobody out there to really count the data. So the last valid one we had came about in April. And of course, the price of groceries are higher. Now, for somebody to come into this chat and say that grocery prices are lower, that is effectively saying, we know you're an idiot. They're calling you an idiot. Because we know the tariffs for all the avocados and all of that coming out of Mexico has increased the price of all these different produces that come from Mexico. That is just from the tariffs alone. When Donald Trump goes on TV this morning, on his Truth Social this morning, and said, "Oh, inflation is we're still hiring people." Meaning the jobs report came out, one of the lowest job reports we had in a while, right? Biden has beat them all, but the jobs report comes up, and he says, "Oh, good jobs report." And by the way, prices are falling. False. Gasoline price has fallen because of what Saudi Arabia is doing, paid for doing. But then he said inflation is down. Not true. Anybody who goes to the grocery store, everybody who goes to the grocery store can see the prices of the products they buy. So we don't need the government to tell us that inflation is high. Under the Biden administration, they did a great job. They kept on telling us, hey, yep, inflation is high, inflation is high, inflation is high. And we had to eat that. Now Donald Trump just wrote on his website, take a look at his website, and he cured the data on his website saying, 4-year low, prices for essentials fall as workers see relief in President Trump's economy. This president thinks that by saying something, it makes it so. And the reason he put this on his board, on his website, is so that all his right-wing bloggers would have anecdotal data from Bloomberg, Investopedia, Fox Business, USA Today, without reading the fine print. That's what he's hoping for. Read the damn fine print. The grocery prices are not lower. I tell you, it's funny. I don't normally shop for groceries, but I went a couple of times and it turned out, I was like, wow, a box of cereal costs that much? A box of cheap oats costs that much? And by the way, there's a difference when I go shopping and when my wife goes shopping. When I go shopping, I look at, if I see sardines, I look for the generic sardine that costs next to that is like half the price of the name brand. If I'm buying preserves, I pick up the preserves, and there's a brand called Hillsbury or Buru or something like that. That's what I buy. If I am going to go buy some bread, I look for that Hillsbrew or whatever bread. I get scolded when I come home. But when I see these prices, I'm like, my God, why am I paying this amount for a name brand when half the times these things are made in the same factories? I don't know. But I buy all the cheap stuff. I buy all the cheap stuff, So anyhow, I'm going to pause a bit here and have a little bit of fun. One of our regulars here called into the program today, and he wrote a Jack and Jill poem, a parody of the Trump administration that I think you guys are going to love. So here is Tom Zornick. Tom Zornick is one of our great supporters. We always had Tom on Ask. Tom is a regular on Ask Egberto Anything. I love me some Tom. Live out there in Michigan, I think near the lake with a whole bunch of acreage. And I want to play you Tom from this morning. Brother Thomas Sarnik, thank you so kindly for your contribution, sir. All right, let's go to Tom. Come on in, Tom.
Oh, hello, Alberto. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. How you doing? How's Michigan right now?
Well, it's pretty hazy out here. It's going to get in the 70s. It's real cool. But I called in and I made a pledge, and I am a sustaining member.
You're clear.
I made a one-time pledge, and I may give again. So I'm encouraging everybody to do that. But I got a little poem today, and I'm going to dedicate it to Jack, because he likes poetry and he's always doing his little things in the morning. And you got a few minutes?
Yes, please do. I love your poetry.
So this is a little different. Everyone knows that Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water, that Jack fell down and broke his crown and Jill came tumbling after. But you might not know that Jack and Jill then went to get some help from Dr. Bill to fix Jack's scalp. But when they reached the local clinic, the doors were locked with no one in it. So Jack and Jill went up to the Hill, to the Capitol in Washington, D.C., and there they found a big, beautiful bill that cut healthcare funding deeply. Jack, bleeding from his head, began to cry, asked Joni Ernst for some medic's aid for his head. She said, "Too bad, if soon you're dead, but all must die, so billionaires and tax cuts can keep getting paid." Now Jill got mad and stitched Jack's head herself with needle and thread. Then Jill, now unafraid of defeat, her conscience only she obeyed, protested and campaigned for her sisters and brothers against Joni and others, then decided to run for a congressional seat up on the Hill and vote against any big, bad, ugly bill for greedy billionaires made, but vote instead to pass laws of, by, and for we the people, so that if anyone had a fall, like Jack, and hurt their head or back, there would someday soon be full funding for Medicaid and Medicare for all. Not the end, just the beginning.
Dang, Tom.
Rhyme.
Wait, Tom. Your limerick. You do some magic with limericks.
Yeah, this isn't quite a limerick, but it's a little kind of a nursery rhyme extended, but similar to limerick. Yeah.
Well, I hope you post it to the site, my brother. I hope you post it to the site. You know, you have a window right there to put all that great stuff that you do, brother.
Yeah, I've been doing that. I will do more of that. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. You have a wonderful day, Tom. Absolutely. I love me some Tom. Tom came out. Tom called early this morning. Well, and I think he's in Central Zone as well. So I think when he calls it, my show is at 6 in the morning on air, and I simulcast it here on Substack as I'm doing it on KFFT 90.1 FM. Anthony Lefranco says, my take on his lies, please correct me if not. Trump abuses the speech and debate clause in our Constitution to spread disinformation. Once he spews a lie, it's now called free speech for his media. That's true. Exactly. And Yvette Avery Herod nails it. She says, Tom did it again. Yes, Tom did it again. Well, guys, the last subject that I wanted to talk about was to actually go into detail on ChatGPT's interpretation of the bill. As you know, look, ChatGPT, is a powerful tool, but you have to know how to use ChatGPT or learn how to use it, learn its flaws, and also double check. And in other words, if I'm doing research, I do all of my videos first. I then get a transcript, then I run it through ChatGPT, and I can get references, etc., through ChatGPT for much of what I said. But like I said, I start with my product as being what I want to cover for that thing. Then I pass it through ChatGPT. I got the professional version of ChatGPT, by the way. So it's nothing more than a tool. So I decided, after watching a TikTok, a young lady who put the entire PDF of the chat of the bill, the big beautiful bill, through ChatGPT. I don't believe everything that I hear on these things. I determine if they are reputable sources. If it's a source I don't know, I verify before I put it on with you guys. I mean, I make sure. My goal to you is to be as truthful and as factual as I can with you. So I did the experiment myself. And I went ahead and I downloaded the great, big, beautiful bill that these guys have. And then I passed it through ChatGPT. And all I said was, the query was, please tell me. This is what I told ChatGPT. I said, please tell me what you think of the following bill. That's all. I wanted to make sure it was an unbiased measure or an unbiased query after I uploaded the bill. This is what ChatGPT gave me. Brief overview. The One Big Beautiful Bill Act, H.R. 119, bundles hundreds of disparate measures into a single reconciliation package that aggressively redistributes wealth upward, hollows out protections, and kneecaps climate change, all while sprinkling in election year talking points about freedom and accountability. I'm like, oops! ChatGPT didn't pull any punches for the brief overview of the bill. It then says, tighten SNAP rules and work requirements, making food assistance harder to access for millions of low income adults and older workers. Imposes mandatory community engagement work rules on Medicaid enrollees, a proven recipe for large coverage losses and bureaucratic churn. Permanently extends and expands most of 2017 Trump tax cuts while adding new giveaways, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, locking in trillions in lost revenue that disproportionately benefit whom? The wealthy. Repeals or sunset virtually every clean energy credit enacted in the Inflation Reduction Act, including the Clean Vehicle Credit and home energy incentives, and rescinds major EPA and climate justice funds. Wow. Authorizes fresh defense and border security spending hikes while quietly raising the statutory debt limit, an admission that the bill's own tax bonanza will explode, not shrink federal deficits. Uh-oh. The legislation reads as a wish list for fossil fuel interests, billionaire donors, and austerity ideologues. It demands more work from the poor, hands out more wealth to the rich, and abandons the planet in the process. That is the synopsis. Now comes the part. It says nutrition assaults. The One Big Beautiful Bill Act operates as an ideological Trojan horse. Its 1,000 plus pages cloak sweeping structural changes behind folksy titles such as Making America Families and Workers Thrive Again. Yet every major subtitle tilts resources towards corporations and the already affluent. So it says one thing, but it does the other. And that's how good these guys are with words. And for those who don't critically think, like a few in our chat, they believe the crap because they have an inability to critically think. Nutritional assaults. Title 1 rewrites the Thrifty Food Plan so that benefit levels can never rise up beyond inflation and must remain cost neutral even when the real price of nutrition food outpaces CPI adjustments. At the same time, Section 1002 raises the general SNAP work requirements age to 65 and narrows the waiver criteria for areas of high unemployment. A county must suffer over 10% unemployment before relief is possible. These changes ignore USDA data showing that work requirements have little effect on job prospects but reliably cut people off food assistance. Uh-oh. Medicaid work rules on steroids. Subtitle D of Title 4 resurrects Medicaid work experiments that court struck down in Arkansas and New Hampshire for violating the Social Security Act. Beginning in 2026, applicable individuals must document 80 hours per month of work, training, or community service, or lose coverage for at least one coverage period. Even when states try to verify such data, ex parte experience shows thousands of eligible recipients are purged for red tape reasons, not joblessness. The bill bars HHS from issuing waivers to soften these rules and direct attacks on flexibility. Climate and energy rollbacks. Perhaps, the most far reaching damage appears in Title 4 and Title 8. The measure zeroes out the IRA's clean vehicle credit by 2026 and eliminates the predecessor credits 1 year earlier. It also repeals funds for both electrification, methane reduction, environmental justice block grants, diesel emission cleanups, and heavy duty truck standards. These repeals would derail nascent domestic manufacturing of batteries, EV chargers, heat pump components, and renewables, all sectors that analysts say are driving the fastest job growth in the US manufacturing since the 1990s. So they have decided to put out all these things. Thank you for being here, Peter Sukowski. See you next week. Now, tax cut windfall and fiscal hypocrisy. Here we go. Title 11's marquee promise to prevent tax hikes by making the 2017 individual rate cuts, the pass-through reduction, listen to this, the pass-through deduction and the double estate tax permanent. Nonpartisan estimates place the 10-year cost of those extensions at roughly $3 million, yet the bill's only significant offsets come from rescinding unspent climate dollars and tightening safety net eligibility. In short, it robs the poor and the planet to enrich others. Okay? Punitive immigration and administrative hurdles. The judiciary and Homeland Security title pile new fees on asylum seekers, parole applicants, DACA recipients, and even U.S. citizens sponsoring unaccompanied minors. Coupled with expanded detention capacity and ICE hiring, the bill channels more public money into private detention contracts while erecting toll booths for legal pathway status. And democratic accountability. Because H.R. 1 moves through reconciliation, the majority can pass this omnibus with a bare Senate majority and minimal debate. The very scale of the bill suppresses scrutiny. Legislators and the press must sift through agricultural programs, tax law, Medicaid statutes, and EPA rules all at once. That process betrays any claim of transparency. There you go. So the conclusion that ChatGPT has is a progressive reading finds that the One Big Beautiful Bill Act weaponized budget reconciliation to amplify unequal and fossil fuel dependence while stigmatizing poverty. It demands more reporting from a single mother on SNAP than from a hedge fund here using an expanded estate tax loophole. So a rich person doesn't have to come up with a whole lot of stuff to prove to the IRS, but a mother wanting SNAP does. Wow. It yanks the fire hose from firefighters and hands it to the terrorists. Congress should reject the measure and instead pursue targeted legislation that strengthens rather than shreds the social safety net and invest in a just low carbon economy. That from ChatGPT, not my voice, ChatGPT, after doing an objective analysis of that particular destructive bill. Now, my MAGA listeners, you can jump and throw your hands up in the air and just call it lie and progressive and all of that. But you know what? When you start to feel the pain, The sad thing about it, it will already be done. When your family that you claim or you purport to love start to feel the pain, will you let them know that you had all the information to make good choices, but you made the wrong choice, mostly because of your prejudice and otherwise? Will you tell your folks that? Will you let them know that you are partly responsible for whatever demise they may go through? I hope so. You know, I hope, and let me tell you something that I don't remember where I read it, but a lot of wives were coercing, a lot of husbands were coercing their wives to vote for Donald Trump, right? Because he was going to be better, and they convinced him that he wasn't going to do the wrong thing. I would hope that when their lives fall apart, that those women will simply walk, and I mean walk away, you know, because it is high time now for us to stop this bull. It is high time. It is high time for us to stop this bull. Anyway, telephone number is 281-823-7747. We have about 4 minutes or 5 minutes or so that we can take calls. 281-823-7747. Give me a call, if you will. Lee the Bearcat says blame game won't work, right? It won't work. It won't work. We already told you what was going to happen, and everything that we said was going to happen is coming through. It's coming through. So those of you who voted for Donald Trump, you made a grave mistake, but you still have some agency to correct that mistake. But that mistake will require you stepping in front of a mirror, like I did when I had to atone for my own mistakes. I went in front of that mirror and I looked at myself and said, how could you have been so dumb? How could you have so stupid? How could you have been so sexist? And I really let myself have it, forgave myself, and became one of the most prolific activists for women causes as well as gay causes. And it's funny because I remember here in Kingwood a few years ago, my good old Kingwood area Democrats declared me an honorary woman. And you would not imagine how proud I was to wear that cape. Honorary woman. I was declared an honorary woman. And I take that declaration to my grave, because I tell you what, it feels good that after being a sexist, women can come up to you and realize you're truly a sincere advocate, not an intellectual advocate, a sincere advocate, a sincere activist for the cause. A sincere activist for the cause. I think this number seems like Harry. Harry, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. I'm glad you're reading all my stuff on that I send you on Facebook on this show and the morning show. You keep it up. You keep it up, brother. You keep hitting MAGA voters and non-MAGA voters. That look, the senator. You got to call your senator. Email your senators. Tell them to reject the House bill as it is. Send it back to the House and tell the House, look, we do not want our Medicaid, Medicare, USAID, Social Security, public funding for public schools. We don't want the New Deal destroyed, because that's what these crazy right-wingers are trying to do. Now, the other reason I called is, and Alan says hi, because Alan's a fan of Neil deGrasse Tyson, and I told Alan, you need to send I was wondering, have you ever interviewed Neil deGrasse Tyson, anybody know?
Have I ever interviewed you?
No, Neil deGrasse Tyson. Have you ever?
No,
He's
no. I need.
a astrophysicist.
I know him. I know him. You know, he went to my university,
Yes.
and then he
Oh,
quit
he went
because
there.
he went to the
Oh,
University of Texas. Yeah, and then he quit and
oh,
finished elsewhere.
okay. Well, I was. If you've never interviewed him, I want you to interview him because,
I'll.
uh, yeah, when you get a chance, because, Steve Hunter was talking about this over a year ago. He was talking about the Neanderthals and the original human beings with black people. And, I brought up that term in the past about the melanin deficiency and then how we produce melanin. Well, he was breaking all that down on TikTok yesterday.
Yeah,
And
I
I was
saw.
wondering if you could,
Yeah, I saw some of his TikToks, and the one thing that I love that he points out for everybody to understand
uh-huh,
is that the diversity in the difference in people in, let's say, Africa, and I'm talking sub-Saharan
right,
Africa, is much
right,
more diverse than the difference
yes,
between you or your white brother and your Chinese brother or whatever. When he pointed
right,
that out, I was like, oh wow. When you do genetic analysis, and that's why if you
uh-huh,
notice, you could have a black person, and
yeah,
all their parts are interchangeable. But the interesting thing is the interchangeability in parts where there's huge diversity actually it not
right,
reduces but shows you that diversity has nothing to do with what we classically are concerned that what we classically have been infected with, and that is racism. There's no
exactly,
race,
because,
really. There's no race.
right,
There's no race.
right,
What there is different characteristics, and the outside characteristics has little to do with the rest of anything
right,
else. So I mean, it is a stupid thing that we continue
you're right,
to use, and I think and that's why uh, uh, plutocrats, conservatives,
that's right,
right wingers, and neoliberal Democrats, and
right,
etc. are so scared for people to begin
yeah,
critically thinking, because that is
yes,
where they land. That is where they
because that's
land.
what that's where Neil deGrasse Tyson was going with that. He was stripping away the lies, the misinformation that um, white people will tell you that they were the highest on the human being as far as the timeline, the evolution. And nothing can be further from the truth. The most, the highest on the human being evolution timeline is black people. We are the most
Well,
evolved. They
well,
are the least evolved. And they
no, whoa,
turn
whoa,
that
whoa, whoa, whoa,
around
whoa, whoa,
and
whoa, hold on.
project that on us.
No, no, Harry, hold on, because I think the evolved thing is a dangerous concept. Between me and let me explain what
Uh-huh.
I mean by that. Um,
Go ahead. Go
it,
ahead.
it is okay to say that one group evolved because of externalities, right? Which is what Neil deGrasse
Right.
Tyson. It doesn't speak about which is a person that is more, what's the word, better or whatever. All human beings in this species adapted to their environment. If black folks
Yes.
moved up to Europe, they turned into white folk. Okay, over time,
Well, they
because
lost the ability to
the
produce
melanin,
melanin.
right? The
That's
melanin,
yeah.
the melanin wasn't
They
necessary,
lost that ability,
and,
and the
and,
white
and
people, they bred with the Neanderthals,
but but
and
but my
that's
point.
why they have a
But
lot of
wait,
those Neanderthal genes.
but my
Steve Hunter
point
was
is this.
talking about that over
Hold on,
here.
wait, Jack. I mean not Jack. I'm calling you Jack. Harry. My
Harry, Harry.
point. My point is this. My point is this. None of that matters, right? Neanderthal or whatever species of Homo sapiens, etc. None of that matters, right? The only time that
Right.
matters is when people are trying to inject that to create differences in people to take advantage of most. And that is what we
Right. To
have to
say
get
that
away
they're
from.
better.
Right. We have
Right.
to
To
get
try to
away.
somehow say that they're
No,
better than
nobody.
other human beings,
Okay,
and
hold
that's
on.
wrong to do that.
Okay, it's always wrong. Nobody is better than anybody. Period. End of story.
Yes.
Nobody is better than anybody. I am no better than you. You are no better than me. That's and once we get that out of the way, we can all work on meritocracy. But nobody wants to work on meritocracy. But hey,
Right.
Harry, I gotta let you go. I want to close this baby down. Okay. Thank you for calling,
Okay.
brother.
Okay.
Have a
Well,
good
you
one.
have a good. I'll say this. You have a good coffee with Patrick Magner tomorrow.
I'm going to have a great. I got to call him up and see where we meet.
Great talk with
So
him.
all right, take care, brother.
Right.
Peace. All right,
Peace to
and
you. Bye bye.
all right. Anyway, folks, that is our lively Harry. Harry calls. Well, Harry used to call every morning. He has discovered the chat, and he realizes that he can use the chat and get a lot of his message across. Thank you, Harry. That opens the door for a lot more people to call, Harry. Anyway, folks, look. Let's see. Adam says you were fortunate enough to grown up and take a serious self inventory. How many people actually do that? The percentage can't be high. Look, I think if people understood that being wrong ain't all that bad, and correcting yourself ain't all that bad. Look, I like when people say, Egberto, you're wrong about that. And I don't mind coming on air and saying, oops, yeah, and correct it. And I think it also gives, as a host, it gives me a level of authenticity, because anybody calls in here knows that, look, I'm going to hit you up, but if you hit me up and I am incorrect or whatever, I'm going to cop to it. That's the idea. But you have guys in here that there's absolutely nothing. Well, if they want to maintain that racist modal, right? The idea is we have to constantly be on. Look, it's a lousy way to live. When the biggest joy was when I could look and say, imagine if I see two guys together now. Wow, I'm happy they're happy. You know, I don't go into any. I mean, I'm just happy that folks are happy. It's not hard, and not only is it not hard, it is so much better on yourself, not even on the other person. So for all of you racist, sexist, homophobes out there, you feel so much better when you're not that. You feel so much better when you're not that. So remember that, folks. Remember that. But anyhow, I got to get out of here. It's 4 o'clock. Before I go, though, I want to ask those of you who have the wherewithal to do so to please become supporters of the show by becoming paid subscribers of our newsletter. Folks, we got about 10 recent, I believe. So I think right now we are 500 and 580 away from the goal. I need 580 paid subscribers. So if you can help us out becoming a paid subscriber, it's only $5 a month. If you do it yearly, it's even less, to support the mission that we're on. And we get a whole lot for that. We do things like, what again? Every weekend, we're going to have an intimate conversation on Substack Live. All my books are there for you to read for the paid subscribers on Substack. And as more perks come along, I'll give you more perks to entice you to join. I'd like you to really, if you enjoy what I'm doing, and if you believe in the work that I'm doing, this is not something that's going to make anybody loaded, rich, or whatever. I am still cash flow negative. Let me just tell you, there's stories hanging around there on my website that told you how I got to doing what I'm doing right now. But at some point, I have to be able to get neutral, and I'm hoping that comes sooner than later. So please, again, consider becoming a paid subscriber of our newsletter. That is how we subsidize everything that we do. politicsdoneright.com/newsletter is the link, and I'm putting that in both chats. politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. And again, a coffee a month. That's what it really is, a coffee a month. Or, you can do it all at once and get even bigger discounts. That is how we intend to keep this baby going. Oops, something happened to that chat. Let me go ahead and stick it in the chat one more time and see if it takes. I think it'll take this time. It looks like it took this time. So please support the program by going to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter and becoming a paid subscriber. over this weekend, I'm going to send out in one of my newsletters whether tomorrow or Sunday we're going to do the Substack Live for paid subscribers. It's likely going to be tomorrow night sometime. I'll post it on Substack and post it in the different areas that we post when we're going to have the Substack Live. And when it starts, I'll probably have it send out an email when we're starting, but I'll tell you the time beforehand, when we're starting the intimate gathering of Substack Live for our paid subscribers. All right, got to get out of here. Thank you so kindly for being here. Love you all. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? What am I? Out!
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.